Ladies and gentlemen, maybe nobody asked, maybe nobody wanted this, but I wanted this because I just found out about this recently. This pertains to Stranger Things. It's also ASMR, so if you like ASMR, you're good. If you like Stranger Things, you're good. If you like neither, I actually can't help here. But I've been informed about a theory. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. And this is called the Conformity Gate Theory. For starters, if you haven't seen Stranger Things, it is a good show. I particularly like Season 3. I think Season 3 was awesome. Billy is one of my all-time favorite characters, believe it or not. I think he's dope. I think his arc could have been cooler, but he redeemed himself at the end anyway. No spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. But it also has been out for like 15 years. But Season 5 has not been out long, but majority of people who enjoy Stranger Things have seen it because the final episode dropped New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, whatever. And a lot of people weren't satisfied, including myself. Like, I didn't really care. Like, I'm like, who cares at the end of the day? It's a show. But then also, it is weird to think back to, the Season 3s and Season 1, and this show continuously did amazing, right? It took years to film for every season, and it crushed, and it crushed, and it crushed, and my light is gonna fall and break. All leading up to Season 5, and I am on Twitter often, and, once you like one tweet, you're just on that side of Twitter, so... And obviously Stranger Things is a huge show, so obviously when people flood to all platforms, you're bound to kind of see it. So my feed has been full of just, Stranger Things for, they made sure the episodes dropped spaced out. So it's been on and off and on and off. And where it left at the end of the first part, where Will was like the sorcerer, went amazing. Like, from what I saw, like, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is such a sick ending. Like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool way to end it. But to end a show is tricky. Like, I don't want to say it's tricky, but a lot has to be done correctly to end a show. And one of the things is not just a happy ending. It's like, do you incorporate a sad ending? Is there something unfortunate? You have to close a lot of loopholes and plot holes that are open, because if you don't, the show's over. So there's no like, oh, we can do that next season, or we can address X or Y or Z. So I'd say it's tricky, but it appears tricky. But anyway, I was just informed that there is a theory, a conformity gate theory, that is essentially saying that the final episode was so bad. Now, I didn't think it was like outrageously bad, but there is a lot of like, and I don't like to be that person who's like, actually, this isn't possible, because really what should happen is this. However, I'm sure everyone who watched it was kind of like, what just happened? So you can just poke Vecna and he's like dead. Whoops, he's dead. That's all it took. I guess he has a heart, which is the real lesson. Is that Vecna he does have a heart. It may be the size, it might be like the Grinch, but he does have one. So that just didn't work for me. This whole like, we're just gonna push a stick through Vecna, and he's like, oh yeah, that's it for me. I bleed blood just like you, and that's it. And then Joyce comes in, finishes off with the head. I don't know, because pretty sure, I don't know how we thought Vecna died earlier when Nancy killed him, but it was like, whatever, flames and shotguns, and he walks through the military in Season 5 and just gets lit up by just like thousands of bullets, and he's fine. But he gets impaled, and it's like, that's it. And I guess I'm trying to draw similarities because I also watched Welcome to Derry, which is Pennywise. And, a lot of people would joke, as Season 5 came out, that like, who would win, Pennywise or Vecna? Now, I was always Pennywise is a better villain, just end of story. But people who were like, oh, Vecna would win, were always saying like, oh, you can like be mean to this clown and he'll just shrink and die, which is like kind of true. Like if you've seen this show based on it, he's kind of a menace. But yeah, like in It Chapter 2, they're like bullying the dude and he's shrinking. Like it's, there's always the power of friendship that comes in to ultimately kill the villains. But now I'm seeing the whole tide shift of like people are like, for Vecna, like don't ever say Pennywise couldn't beat this guy again. I mean, this guy just got thrown through like a stick and got his head chopped off by like someone's mom. Like this guy's nothing. Now there's a million other things. People are saying, oh, what happened to hazmat suits in the Upside Down? They just walk in, they just touch stuff. They know where everything is. I saw somebody say something about, I thought about this too, like the water tank that Elle went in there in the Upside Down. Like, why is it crystal clear water? Why is it filled? Again, these are things that are like, should you really be micromanaging and trying to pick out all these issues? But it's like, yeah, like this plan worked out way too well. People were saying that when Hopper shot Elle, that should have been real, like higher the stakes. Even though I think that's brutal, I kind of did have this like, oh my gosh moment when it happened, and I was like, oh, now this is starting to get interesting. That's also why a lot of people were like joking, like, don't kill Steve. And I think they knew that, which is why in the start of the episode they almost killed him. And it's weird because so many people like don't want to carry, like everybody that I saw complaining about the show was like, nobody died. Like Elle's maybe dead and that's it. So it didn't really feel proper, right? There wasn't like a goodbye to somebody. But it was also weird because it's like you don't really want anybody to die, but like there can be a death. You know what I mean? Like if it's a meaningful, good death, like you don't ever want someone to die in a show. But at the same time, it's like if nobody dies, it's weird. I also saw people saying something about Hopper, about how he gave 11 this whole speech about like, do it for your kids, do it for the future that you should have because so much of your life was ripped from you. And then she dies, but is she dead? But anyway, this all leads to this all being so atrocious and people just joking about like, what the heck is going on? Is Vecna merging worlds? Is it as easy just to poke him and he is dead and get his head chopped off and it's over? I saw them setting up the plot for Will being like, oh, is Vecna's just like Henry's just like me, and I saw Twitter so joking, like I love how like they brought up that like they were about to make that switch of like, oh, you don't really know Henry and you got to get to know Henry and he's being controlled by the mind flayer, and then Henry's just like no, and then he goes on with the plan and dies. A lot of people thought that since he's kind of irredeemable at this point, he would have redeemed himself by like taking like Billy, for example. Billy's a perfect example of like he was an a-hole before, then he got taken by the mind flayer, so then you probably didn't, I mean, he's now a villain on top of a villain, but then he ends up fighting the whatever mind flayer or whatever the giant thing was at the time, and he ends up dying. So it's like, okay, that was a kind of a good way to go. Eddie, I mean, he was already a great character. But again, they introduce characters. They've done this repeatedly. They've done this for, I guess, the last 3 seasons, right? I guess Billy came in and died. Again, not as much a lovable character. I loved him. I just think he was like a cool, I kind of like the actor as well. And I don't actually see him in a lot of things. I just think he was like I don't know, I just liked his character arc. And I feel like, again, there's so many character arcs where it's like you only have one season to be like, oh, they switched up, but like they're bringing in characters to die. Like Eleven's sister dying, to most people, that doesn't count as anything. Like you forgot about her. It was in one of the, like, I didn't like that episode where that whole thing was happening with her siblings or whatever, and most people didn't. Apparently it was like very low rated. So it's just all these things that are like, this doesn't count as a death, this, et cetera, et cetera. This all leads to people literally believing that there is a 9th episode dropping. Now, I will say, at first I thought this was ridiculous, and I don't think it's ridiculous. I just think there's no hope. Now, if I had the biggest show on Netflix ever, would I think of what I'm about to say? I hope. I hope I'd be creative and be like, yeah, we could do this whole thing. But people are literally speculating now on this conformity gay theory that Vecna won, right? Because apparently the brothers, the writers, of the whole show said that the ending is dark. I don't know if there's an actual quote from them, but people are like, how is this dark? Like, 11 might be dead and everybody's good and Hopper's married and everyone's playing D&D and whatever. Not a dark ending, so people are speculating that Vecna won and he's got them, in this perfect dream world, and he got them, essentially. Now, the only reason I want to even believe this is because I'm like, Vecna just shouldn't have died that easy. I mean, like, he should have died, like, the moment they met him. Like, Vecna was like, 11, it's time. And then 11 should have just been like, I'm going to throw you through a stick. And he's like, oh, and he's dead. He's done for. He's done for just like that. If it was that easy from the beginning, which you could argue wouldn't have had all those seasons and all that money, which is fair. Can't argue with that. But no, a lot of people were just joking, like, how is this? I mean, again, season 5, you up the stakes, but, like, how is this the same show? Like, Will's getting lost in the woods in season 1, and then there's 11, like, launching herself into the floor of some gigantic alien creature that doesn't even look like the shadow monster. It doesn't look like the one that was in season 3. I don't know. And all the plot holes, all the loops that weren't closed, the fact that Jonathan and Nancy at one point were like, hell yeah, like, Steve's an a-hole at the beginning, and then Steve has just this absolute arc of, like, he's an awesome dude, and then Eddie's saying to Steve in the Upside Down, like, you better, the way you're looking at Nancy, like, you better get with her, you better get back with her, to set up nothing. Like, nothing happened. She breaks up with Jonathan, which that whole scene was super weird to me. I was like, are they getting married? Do they love each other? Do they hate each other? I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on. So now, Jonathan and Nancy at one point, which I thought were like, yeah, in the early seasons, don't date the mean guy, date the nice guy. But now it's like, Steve, this whole thing is going to collapse on me before I finish this video. Steve's a great guy, and now nothing's happening. Nothing's happening now. They're not with each other. What else do you have? So they're out of the picture. Then people were joking that, like, this friend group never existed. Like, Robin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan, that never existed. So why are they all friends? I mean, I guess Steve and Robin have been friends for a while, but what else? I mean, you didn't really get, I don't think you needed everybody's story told, but, like, Murray, Erica, like, there's kind of little things where I'm like, damn, like, I guess I would be like, were they in it at all? Were they in the ending? I'm not even sure. Like, maybe they were at the graduation. So people were saying, like, at the graduation they're wearing orange, which represents prison, like, they're prisoners. People are saying that it just went too perfect. The ending was so weird and bad that there is a 9th episode releasing that is the dark ending, that Vecna won, and this is the actual ending. The fact that I also agree with the majority of people that are saying, although I want this to be true, I don't believe the writers of the show are that smart. I agree. But then I'm like, well, if average people who like the show are thinking about it, how could writers not be? Because I'm like, how could they have looked at this and not foreseen this reaction from audiences? Now, of course, there's people who are like, oh, you would find a way to hate every ending, but, like, this genuinely was, like, I'm not even hating on it, but there was a lot where I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, there was a whole hour or two of, like, after they beat Vecna that just felt like I was like, what? That really was it. Like, I was waiting for something, because I'm like, oh, the next hour of this finale, this 2-hour finale, is genuinely them just, like, just living, they're at graduation, everything went well. Is 11 really gone? I don't know. So, the conformity gate theory. Do you believe in it? Do you believe that there's a secret 9th episode? Because realistically, I don't know if I'm filming this on the 6th, but it's supposed to come out the 7th. And it's so weird to say that I don't actually believe they're smart enough, because it's like average people are, I guess, smart enough. But again, you can't really let your audience choose where your show goes. I understand taking a bunch of fan theories and then just making a show off fan theories is probably ridiculous. So you got to have your own plot and stick to it. But I do, like, people are saying it would be like the greatest poll in television history, and I can't argue with that. I'm like, if you really made a bunch of people think like, oh, we're done, it's been 50, because that's the other thing, it's been 15 years of the show, like, it's been a long time, 10 to 15 years, right? And people have watched the fan base grow, or the fan bases watch them grow up, etc. They're not really watching us grow up, but either way, I just think it is kind of crazy to. It's always going to be hard to end a show because you're not going to please everybody. But at the same time, I'm like, man, what the heck was that ending? The military just letting him go? They were like, oh yeah, you just shot us up. You just lit us up yesterday. But now that Eleven's gone, you go back to, like, what happened to that girl? The one who looked like Eleven's dad in woman form? That random military lady? What's she up to? Does she want to capture any of them? Is she interested? I saw someone say all those pregnant women, that whole thing where they were like, oh yeah, they want to make millions of 11s. They need 11's blood. Are they dead? Are they just dead? I don't know. So there's so many, like, funny things. The demo dogs, the demogorgons, the demo bats. Eddie died to demo bats. Where are they? Where are the demogorgons? I can't tell what's real because I see things on Twitter and I'm like, did the writers of the show actually say this, or are people just making it up and putting it in quotes? Someone said that the writers said they caught Vecna off guard, so that's why there were no dogs or bats. What? They caught bro off guard, so he didn't have his demogorgons and demo bats? What? This doesn't make any sense. Did he merge worlds? I guess not, right? I guess their worlds are fine, but look, I don't know. I feel like to have hours upon hours of a finale and have these questions out there is kind of wild. I don't know. And the other thing I heard for the conformity theory is that apparently in season 1, I believe it was Dustin who said it was a 10-hour game, and apparently the finale was like 10 hours, and they said it was over, and his exact response was like, it's over. No, that's not possible. There's too many plot holes. So apparently that's something that people are pulling. I don't really like when people start to, like, cherry pick. I mean, I guess you're trying to find reasons why it's true, but I'm like, damn, like, can your mind just create, like, you just rewatch the show and you're like, conformity gate theory, and then you start to pull, like, oh, that's a thing that links to it. I genuinely think that's possible. I think this is like the placebo effect in a way. Not really what the placebo is, but it's just like you're finding things align with your theory. So, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on it. Do you think there's a secret 9th episode? I guess we're going to find out. But realistically, do you think that's smart? I have no idea. What are your thoughts on the end of Stranger Things? I hope you enjoyed this ASMR rant and video. I just wanted to talk about it because it's extremely relevant, and it's literally, I just heard about it. And I was like, you know what? I've, back on my other channel, I did, like, not movie reviews. Actually, I think I did a Stranger Things, like, season 3 review, like, years and years ago. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's turn on the camera and talk about it. So, what are your thoughts? Did you like the ending? Did you hate it? Have you seen it? Because if not, I pretty much just spoiled absolutely everything that's possible to spoil on that one. So sorry about that. But yeah, let me know if you guys like this kind of content. Again, this is really not, I mean, it is ASMR at the end of the day, but it's definitely not like, I mean, maybe people like to listen to rambling no matter what, but it's definitely not your average, like, fast versus slow triggers and I'm tapping on stuff. It's just me yapping about a conspiracy theory that I'm sure we all hope is true. But apparently, yeah, the Duffer brothers have been asked many times about certain plot holes, and they're just like, there's so many memes about just like, oh yeah, it happened off screen. Like, just all this stuff, every question, and then I'll see people on Twitter be like, just assume it happened off screen. You didn't see any of that. But, like, Susie, Dustin's girlfriend, is she good? She helped him quite a bit. I mean, I think she was in the other season too, like, even after we got introduced to her. Is she around? I don't know. Also, I thought somebody said that Derek never coughed up anything when he got unhooked from Vecna. There's so many things. This could be a long video, so we'll have to end it here. Let me know your thoughts and your theories down in the comments below. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next